just joined the team. Two down, you are going tomorrow again a match. What is discussed in the team meetings when you have joined the team?
You're about an hour too early. Our team meeting's at 3:30, so I can't disclose the team meeting because it hasn't happened yet. But no, clearly we haven't had the start to this campaign that we would have hoped for. But the upside of that is we've got 8 games to go. This is a team with a rich history, and no doubt our best cricket's ahead of us. No doubt this competition's got a great reputation in world cricket, and this is a country that's been on my bucket list to come and visit, and a tournament that I've wanted to be a part of. In the past, the time slots haven't coincided well with the Australian summer, but having the tournament in April and May this year changes our availability for Australian players at least, and I'm elated to be here. It's been a great initiation. I've felt amazing support from the local community and the team and the franchise, and this is a great tournament, and I can't wait for my next month here. Yeah, it's a really good question, and it's something that took me a while to stumble upon. The recipe for success for teams, but also for us as individuals, and it can be challenging walking into new environments. This year I'll have the pleasure of probably playing for 6 or 7 different teams, and there's a lot of upside to that. I get to meet a lot of new people, I get to experience a lot of different cultures, but the challenges are to acclimatise to the conditions, to upskill ourselves as quickly as we can to the conditions, the oppositions, to find a way to gel as a team in a short period of time. That'll enable us as a team to have success, but more than anything, I'm 32 now. I've got a lot more confidence in my game than I had as a young player, and I think that I've been able to prove to myself that my skills are transferable in different competitions, and Pakistan's a nice place to come as a batter, and these are conditions that I'm looking forward to playing in. Yeah, there's a number of differences. As I touched on before, probably the noticeable one is some really good batting wickets. You sort of look out as you arrive on grounds and you see that gloss over the wickets. They're shiny almost, which has become really indicative of Pakistani white ball wickets. Around the world, you don't see conditions like that a lot, and then there's a lot of small grounds here as well. The boundary dimensions can be really different. Particularly back home in Australia, we play on Australian rules football grounds, which can have really big dimensions. They can be bigger grounds, and it requires a different game plan. A lot more balls hit on the ground, a lot more boundaries, a lot more running of twos. Here we probably see batters try and utilise the smaller dimensions and hit the ball for 6 more, so we see a higher percentage of 6s, and from a bowling perspective we see a lot more defensive bowling here. It can be intimidating at times, the dimensions of some of these grounds, and we've seen some really high scoring games, but with challenges also comes great opportunity, and I'm looking forward to being able to test myself in these conditions. Yeah, there's a couple of aspects of fitness. One is, are you going to get injured? And we want to have our best players on the park and fit and available to pick from. Generally, we're talking about fast bowlers. How many games can they back up and keep playing? So that's a really important one. Look, the fitness, I touched on it before. There's a lot of 6s here. It's exciting. It's an upbeat game style of cricket here. Fitness, I didn't see many 2s or 3s run the other night in the game we played, so not a big issue at the moment. If we're playing 5-day cricket in hot conditions, maybe it comes into it, but I think we're seeing some pretty exciting, exhilarating cricket here, and I think we're going to see more boundaries than we are running between the wickets. Yeah, I'd love to, but it's difficult batting down the order and then batting in the middle order. I think a lot of the hundreds you see are from guys batting in the top 3. So, my job typically is to bat in the end of the innings and finish the innings as well as possible, try and chase down a total or set a competitive total. And, I'm not too worried about personal milestones. I'm here to try and win games of cricket for Multan, and, that's an exciting opportunity for me. I think we're the best team. Do I have to say that? No, look, it's one of the strengths of this competition, undoubtedly. 6 teams, we've seen amazing local talent. Pakistani cricket's really healthy at the moment. There's so many quality domestic cricketers. You add to each of those teams 4 overseas players, and we're seeing some quality overseas players venturing onto these shores. So what it is a really world-class competition. We're seeing the best talent in the world, and as a result, it's an exciting brand of cricket we're seeing, and no doubt it's entertaining for all of the fans. Yeah, I mean, it's about being adaptable to conditions. There's days where we have good wickets and the matchups suit us as batters and you feel like you can hit boundaries, and there's days where it might be trickier wickets, it might be spinning or seaming, might be a lower scoring ground, boundaries might be bigger. There's so many variables, and the challenge of modern day players is adapting to the conditions on the run really quickly. I've already heard spoken about within our change room, communication is really important, relaying the feedback from the conditions as we're seeing it live, getting that message back to the dressing room, that's really important, and that's something that's consistent with cricket all around the world. Well, I mean, to be honest, I don't know a lot about the domestic structures in Pakistan, but a little bit like I just touched on, there's 6 teams in this PSL, which means it's a really strong competition. In Australian state cricket, we have 6 teams as well, so I think that's a great breeding ground for young cricketers and aspiring international cricketers, and then for overseas players when we start to play in the Big Bash as well. And I'm seeing a lot of similarities between the 2 structures, and as an outcome, we're seeing a lot of quality cricketers being produced, and we're seeing some exciting cricket for the fans. Yeah, no doubt. We've haven't started this campaign the way we would have liked, but we've got an exciting opportunity ahead of us, and no doubt our game against Peshawar tomorrow is going to be really important to the rest of our campaign. This is a team game, and we're about to sit down in a team meeting and discuss ways that we can unite as one to produce the best results on the field for us tomorrow. I think although the results haven't gone our way in the first couple of games, I think there's been a lot of upside. We batted particularly well in the first game. We've seen some outstanding contributions from our batters. We saw a couple of changes to our bowling unit, and we saw at times in our last game our bowlers be really effective on those conditions. So it'll be interesting. Rarely do you get the opportunity to play on the same ground 2 games in a row, but we have that opportunity. Hopefully we can learn the lessons from the last game, implement them tomorrow night, and be able to come out with a different outcome. Yeah, no doubt. The PSL has a great reputation in world cricket. This is a tournament that everyone wants to be a part of, and I'm no different. When the call came through, it was a very easy decision to jump on the next plane and make myself available. It's a part of the world that I haven't been fortunate enough to travel to before, but now that I'm here, I can understand the reputation that precedes it. This is a very enjoyable competition. Everyone I've spoken to who's been a part of it in the past speaks highly of it, and I'm looking forward to my next month here in Pakistan. I've got lots of friends in Pakistan now. Everyone in this team's my friend, but even within this team, it's funny, you travel to the other side of the world and there's familiar faces everywhere. There's guys in our team I've played with in the 100 in the UK, guys I've played with in the Big Bash. Sam Amir, we played together for Manchester in the 100. I've played against him in the Big Bash. He's obviously a quality cricketer and is getting opportunities all around the world. And there's a lot of guys in our side now that you could put in that bracket. There's a reason those guys get opportunity around the world, and primarily I'm here to enjoy myself, but there's a wealth of talent within this change room, and I want to learn from a lot of the local players, the overseas players. It's a great chance to see different perspectives, understand how different people can play the game differently, and for me it's about becoming a better cricketer and learning in the conditions and from my teammates.